at the moment, and then the Zoom linking, the link will be made available in our groups at the end of the day. Whatever we're going to discuss here will be recorded live for future reference. Now, having said that, let me also quickly share my screen and take you to the main business of the day. Awesome. Here we go. So, a warm welcome to you. If this is your first time joining this awesome community, I especially want to say welcome to you. This is a community of over 1.9 million users that has existed for several months and years for now. But what I will urge you to do tonight is that don't believe anything I say until I can prove it on the chain, right? Don't believe anything that comes from my mouth until Jerry is able to prove to you that yes, actually what I am saying can be proven. If I say they have existed for several years, I should be able to give you proof, right? If I say we have about 1.9 million participants, you should have proof. So far, we've paid out over $541 million. And I can't wait to the day where we will hit the 1 billion dollar payout mark. And all these figures you see here, for clarity's sake, are not just figures. These are data fetched directly from the blockchain, and each and every single figure you see here can be proven. Aside all this faith, we still have what we call a safety basket. A safety basket here is simply a pool of funds that is backing this project. Guys, this, as we speak now, sits around $42 million, right? Sitting down there, breathing, waiting for you to take action and take your part. So before I begin my presentation, I would like to ask you, how much of these funds sitting right here, $42 million, would you naturally love to take part of? And of course, whatever you want is an open book, like just like an open check. Whatever you want is available for you to take. But before you do that, you really want to know why and what you want from it and how you get it and all, exactly why I am here. Now, the opportunity here, if you are new, is called Bitnest, right? This Bitnest is just a set of smart contracts that has been built on the Binance blockchain. Please, I'm very, very, very careful about my choice of words because I promised earlier I need to prove anything I say. So I won't say things that I cannot prove. But what I mean is this smart contract is built on the Binance or the BNB smart chain. Now, if you are new to blockchain or cryptocurrency, then I'll go a little bit deeper to differentiate what we mean by the BSC or the Binance Smart Chain. But then before then, let me tell you what exactly this whole thing, how it all works about. First of all, this smart contract allows you to, instead of keeping your USDT or your money in your account, waiting for maybe future use, it allows you to rather put these funds into what we call an passive use by putting these funds into their smart contract for it to be put to work for you. Let me break it down in another angle. What I'm simply trying to say is most of us here have bank accounts at least, and we've dealt with banks before. Even if you still don't have bank account, you've dealt with bank before. Normally, you take your funds to bank, right? You keep it there, and when you need it, you go back for it. But one thing you don't know is that when you send your money to the bank, they don't keep it there waiting for you to come get it. They put it to work. They put it to work. They make money from it, right? Okay, so somebody's hands are up. I want to believe it has nothing to do with, if you are not seeing my screen or something, but if it has to do with a question, please don't worry. I would definitely give you chance to ask anything you do not understand. But for now, let me just lay the emphasis of our presentation. Let me lay the basis for those who don't understand what Bitness is. And then afterwards, I will come to the question. So,
Jerry,
yes, sir.
please, a quick one. I know it is live streaming, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, can I have the YouTube link?
Definitely. I will drop the link to this, please. I'll drop the
Yeah,
link to this.
because one of my prospects is having problem.
Okay, what could the problem be? Let me drop a live invitation link to the Zoom, which will not require any
With
any
the Zoom.
code. Okay, I'm coming. Let me drop a link to the chat. Please copy this link and send to him on the Zoom so that
Okay.
he can come over and join us. So please share this with him. It doesn't require any code. Copy and send to him. Thank you so much. And let's go back to what we are discussing. So now, when you keep these funds in your bank, they don't keep the funds there waiting for you to come get it when you need it. They put it to work. At the end of the day, they make money off your money. But what happens? At the end of the month, they come back and they charge you for it. They don't share profit with you. No. Whatever gains they may have made with your money, they keep it to themselves. And I keep asking, and I keep asking over and over again, why should I wake up in the morning, go to work so hard, go and save money, give money to somebody to keep for me? At the end of the day, he becomes so financially, you know, um, flamboyant, has financial muscles, somebody who is keeping my money, and I'm struggling to meet ends meet. If your job is to keep my money, then in a layman's language, I should be the guy, with a lot of money. But what do? They leverage on all the funds that come to their thing. They lend it out to people. They put it into businesses that generate revenue, and then they keep the revenue. Bitnest saw this injustice and said, no, that's not right. But the only way we can do that is to align ourselves with something that gives room for no centralized bodies to fight with. And that is what we are talking about on the blockchain. So they built this protocol that allows you, rather than putting your money at the bank, you put it here, they take it to work, right? They take it to work. But the good news is that there are no middlemen here, unlike your bank, who keep the profit. In your case, this profit is distributed directly to you. And this is put into self-executory contracts, which we call a smart contract. And then it has been properly built, renounced, and pushed to the blockchain to operate on its own. Now, breaking smart contract down in a language for you to understand is just a set of rules that if this happens, then that should happen. These rules have been put together in a form of a code and deployed to the blockchain. So if I decide to put my money into the smart contract for so and so date, then the smart contract should return something to me, right? Let me take you right into my account. Let's look at something very, very important. Now, assuming I want to put in, let's say, $10, and the smart contract says, if Jerry puts in $10 and say, let it go to work for 1 day, then at the end of 1 day, let this amount hit Jerry's account. If Jerry decides to put these funds into the smart contract for 7 days, at the end of 7 days, let this happen, right? So it goes on, and there are four simple, staking periods available to you. Your funds, your call. One, you can decide to stake your funds for 1 day, for 7 days, for 14 days, and 28 days. 1 day gives you 0.4%. 7 day gives you 4% returns. And even if you just put in everything as just 4%, guys, 4% in 7 days, certain financial institutions take a whole year to give you 2, 3, 4, 5%. And then you have a platform that takes your funds, puts it to work, and then generates about 4% for you in 7 days. What if I decide to even go for 14 days? That makes it great because it gives me 9.5% returns. Then in 28 days, you're talking about unbelievable 24% returns. Now, I know what's going through your mind. What really do they do with your fund? How are they able to sustain that? And I mentioned they've been doing it for several years now, and they still have a reserve basket of over 42 million. What exactly are they into? Relax. I'm going to show you. Now, with this smart contract, it provides you platform to put your money to work and then directly benefit from the returns. And when the time is due for your returns, you don't even need to come in and place or ask for withdrawal or anything. The smart contract has been programmed in such a way that it returns your money to you without you asking. And if I say returns to, I'm not saying it comes into your account, like in your back office, something where you have to come in and request for withdrawal. No. What it does is that it pays directly into your wallet. So you don't need to even engage the website itself at the end of your tenure. Automatically, these funds comes to you, right? Apart from this product too, there's another product called the savings box, which gives you a flat returns of 0.4% daily. Now, the loop, which is the Bitnest loop, gives you fixed, staking period, 1 day, 2 day, 1 day, 7 days, 14 and 28. If I decide to put in money into this smart contract for 28 days, I have nothing to do. I just have to be patient for these 28 days to count down, then it returns to me. However, if you are like the type who really don't want to lock their funds and they really don't know when there will be a need for those funds, you can actually go with a savings box. This savings box actually provides you a flat rate of 0.4% daily. The difference is that you can put in money today, now, and instantly something comes up in the next 1 minute or two, and you said, okay, I'm no longer interested, I want my money. And instantly, this smart contract will automatically return this money to you. But then as long as you keep it there every single day, every 24 hours from your time of looping or putting the money in, you receive your 0.4% daily. So what it means is that if you put $1,000 into the savings box, every single day you wake up to $4 profits. Now, this is something you may not really think about, but those of you who have funds on your centralized exchanges and all, I don't mean to mention names, but I have access to a daily earning pool where I have about $1,500 sitting in my account, and every day they pay me 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, and I've not seen 50 cents before. But then if I had the opportunity to put that $1,000 into Bitnest, and at the end of the day, instead of cents, I make $4 daily, $4 daily, and each time I need my money, I can put it out. This serves as one of the tools or one of the products that may really interest you. But then the big question remains, how do they generate these funds? How do they generate this fund to keep paying you this huge sum of money and still have over $42 million sitting in their pool? That is where I take you to another product they have called the smart contract. Now, this is how it works. You and I are people who have some spare funds wanting to put it to work. On the other side of business are institutions, big guys, traders, who come around to lend from or to borrow from Bitnest. So we do lending and borrowing. And in a typical example, this lending works in such a way that, assuming I need some funds to do something very quickly, let's say I am a forex trader and I have a setup that I'm so sure is going to work out, but I have some BTC or Ethereum, and at the end of the day, I don't want to sell off my position, right? I don't want to sell my BTC. I just want to leverage on my coin, my position as Bitnest, a Bitcoin holder, to access some quick, flat, fixed, or what we call stable coins for the business. And I know at the end of the day, I'll be able to pay. Why won't I sell my Bitcoin? Because we all know how volatile Bitcoin is, right? I don't want to sell my Bitcoin today at maybe 100,000 and then wake up tomorrow and it is 200,000. I'm like, oh God, I've been holding this for years. So if I have a tool that will allow me to use that position as a collateral to get some 50,000, 70,000, to put into something and flip it around without necessarily selling my Bitcoin, then that comes in handy. And these are guys out there who come in and borrow from this pool. How does it work and how do they ensure that you don't lose your funds? What if they come to take your fund and they don't pay? What is the guarantee they're going to pay anyway? These guys are online. Nobody knows them. So what if they take the funds and decide not to come? Does it mean the program is going to crash? And that is where you need to understand what we have here as lease. For instance, if I want to lease, um, let's say $100,000. I need $100,000 from Bitnest. And I decide that I have BTC, I want to pledge BTC for, let's say, 28 days. Look at something. Currently, one BTC is trading around 100,000. Let me say 120,000, right? And I just need 100,000. Which one BTC that I have is even more expensive than what I need. But if I want to use these funds for 28 days, I need to pledge at least 2.03 BTC. Now, these are smart contracts that will only release funds from the liquidity pool to you when you are able to meet this requirement. What it simply means is that the guy coming to take 100,000 is putting down about $240,000 just to access the 100,000. And does that really make sense? Of course it does. The big question is, those big guys in the industry physically, is like asking those rich guys, why do they use their properties to take loans from the bank? If their properties are more expensive than the amount of loan they are going for, wouldn't it rather make sense to sell off their property and then maybe use the funds to do business? But no, they don't. They hold on to their property and rather use it as a tool to access all these loans, knowing that unless in the worst case scenario, they are unable to pay, then they know they are losing their asset for real. Similar thing is what is happening here, and this is simply how business work. So your money, before it is handed over to whoever is coming for it, they make sure they put some tokens aside as a form of security or collateral. So they don't just come, take money and go, they don't pay you. Secondly, when they take these funds, this smart contract actually charges them certain rates. I'm coming. I think we should do this. I'm coming. Let's do this. I want to touch on few things that mention rates. One minute. There was somewhere I saw 1.5% interest rates. Okay, let me check here. Okay, so if a user chooses to rent for one day, he needs to pledge a designated token, BTC or Ethereum, with a value of 1.5%, not that one. I want where the returns are. Now, if the user chooses to rent, he needs to provide blah, blah, blah. And the daily payable capital supply dividend is what? 1.5%. So here is the magic. And this is where a lot of people don't even take time to read, and they go all out saying all sort of things. But how can you pay 24% in a month? That's a scam. That's a Ponzi. And they go on and on and on without even understanding the business behind it. The business here is that your funds are put to work. So let's do some calculation. If you put $1,000 into a project, and at the end of the day, you are charging 1.5%. The daily yield is supposed to be what? I think about $15, right? About $15. But if you put your $1,000 into Bitnest for one day, they pay you 4%, 0.4%, which is way less than what they use your funds for. So if such platform is able to sustain itself and you don't understand how it is done, I was waiting for a day where all these naysayers will come around and attempt to lease money and then not get. So they can base on that and say, the thing really doesn't work. But the smart contract is here. It takes money from you as a form of security and allows you access to the stable coin so you can use it for your businesses, flip it around fast, pay 1.5% daily, which is cool, way much better, because when you are lending or when you are borrowing from a crypto protocol, you don't need credit history, you don't need what's the name, proof of existence, you don't need anything. All you need to do is to provide the collateral required and a wallet which communicates with this smart contract and all. So this is how they generate majority of the funds they use to pay you. Secondly, the liquidity pool you see here, the funds you see sitting right here in the name of $42 million cannot be sitting down there idle all the time. There are times that people will borrow some, the excess will just be sitting there. So they thought it wise that why don't we rather push it into some passive things that will generate money, for instance, providing liquidity on pancake swap and all. So the excess fund that is sitting there waiting for people to borrow, they use it to provide liquidity on pancake swap. Now, let me explain something, especially to our friends here in Ghana. I know you relate to this more. Take the liquidity providing, take MTN, for instance, the mobile money providers as for instance, as the banks, right? They have their platform that allows users who have e-cash in their wallet or physical cash and need e-cash can just walk to an agent and have transactions done. These agents come to their offices or their stores, with a fixed amount of money, small amount in their in their e-wallet, and a small amount in their physical cash. But at the end of the day, they walk home with their money untouched. Why? Because the next moment somebody is depositing money, he brings physical cash to take the e-cash. Then the next moment somebody comes and say, I'm doing cash out. He brings e-cash to take the physical cash. So these validators or these agents, their job is just to connect you and make their commission without putting their personal funds at risk. That is the work of liquidity providing right here. So if you're in Ghana, what I just explained would make you understand why somebody comes from his home, brings a mobile phone, sits at a joint waiting for somebody with e-cash, somebody with physical cash, connect the two, take his commission, go back home, at the end of the month, still make commission. That is how they also put these funds to work to generate extra income for you. And other things have been added to make it sustainable to be able to pay you that 24% they pay in a month. Secondly, I also mentioned that this thing has been going on for so long, for how many years? Let's go back to the blockchain. Let me go back in a bit deeper. Let's look at it now. This is the Binance blockchain. I am no longer on the Bitnest website. I am in a bank account or the liquidity pool of Bitnest. Have a look at it. Take a very good look at these figures. This is the bank account of Bitnest. This is the one that stated that it has about $40 million sitting there. Let's prove it. But before we prove that, let's look at this. This contract was created exactly 2 years, 132 days ago. Guys, the information here on blockchain cannot be changed. It cannot be modified. It cannot be twisted to paint a story that does not exist, right? Secondly, let's go back into their holdings and see if genuinely these guys have funds up to that. What we have here is the USDT BEP20 amounting to about $29.3 million. And we have the USDC, both are stable coin. One of these is always $1. Each one of these is always, so all what it means is that when you add all this up, it amounts to about $40,025,000 sitting right there in the account. Now, does the money just sit there doing nothing? Let's see what is really going on in their loop. And you realize that every single minute, there are a lot of activities going on. Look at it. 6 seconds ago, 3 seconds ago, 5. You see a lot of activities happening, in their wallet. In fact, if I want to even take it a bit deeper, look at here. This is a loop, this is a loop. At the point you see somebody swapping something, And all these transactions are on the, why am I able to show it? Because it's on the blockchain and immediately it happens. Look at something here. Somebody did a swap. I thought I saw a swap here. There you go. Swap version 2 and or swap a certain amount of USDT, and they are the ones providing the liquidity for that particular transaction, and there you, everything in their wallet can be proven. So this business actually existed for the said years we are talking about, over 2 years. However, when it comes to renouncing the smart contract, I will go there to elaborate on something. If somebody comes to you and say, I have been in this business for several years, one of the things you can do to check it out is to check their bank account when the bank account was created for the business, right? So what I just did now is to check when the first transaction happened on the account, which is about 2 years ago. And that is not all. I also want you to I want to take you in here. Let me show you one more thing before we go back in. Come in 1 minute. Okay, here in their office or at the back end, you get to see their various smart contracts addresses. What happens is that if you use a certain address to create a smart contract, that smart contract can be identified with the address used to create it or address that has been renounced to. So this is the Bitnest loose smart contract address. What I want us to do is to copy it, right? And then leave the domains of Bitnest. I want to take you to external platforms to look at how solid this smart contract has been built. Let's check if there are some security loopholes somewhere that the owners of this project can exploit to take advantage of what we do. So I'm taking you externally to a site called D.5 just to do some brief. Today, I don't want to go so much into this. I just want to prove one or two things and then come back to the screen. There's something special I want us to understand. And then here, I'm going to paste the smart contract address of Bitnest here. So what it will do is that it's going to scan this whole contract. Okay, there we have it. It's going to scan this whole smart contract and then tell us some of the dangers involved in this. Why do we need the opinion of this site? These are security or external audit firms that you can walk to with any smart contract and then flip them open. Look at all the loopholes in the things you cannot see with your eyes. These guys are able to show you. So now, if you take this smart contract, you realize that it says this smart contract is just 1 year, 2 months, and then 23 days old. Why? Does it mean Jerry told a lie? No. Jerry didn't tell a lie. Bitnest actually started from somewhere. And the project was built from a point to a point that when they realized we've gotten to where it works to perfection, then we need to give up the right to edit anything. So their bank account shows that they have been in business for way earlier than the smart contract was renounced. But when the smart contract was renounced to this address, that is when this particular date took effect on the 18th of May 2024. Even this, we will go deeper into when that flip happened so you understand why I'm saying this. Secondly, when you scan a smart contract, first thing you need to look out for is the address. Be sure that is the address. So let's see if that's the same thing Jerry is pasting. You can see it's the same thing. Secondly, let's also see who created this wallet. So you see the address of the one who created the wallet. That's the contract creator. However, there's a difference between you creating it and you owning it. If the creator still remains as the owner, then my brother, you are in for trouble, because what it means is that this gentleman here still have the key to enter this contract and pause it, amend it, change things. Once you put in your money, they come up with stories and they tell you. So when you scan a smart contract, first thing you want to know is to see if the owner has been renounced to the null wallet, what we call the 00 or the dummy wallet, which is owned by no one, to tell you that they have given up the rights of editing and any other thing to this smart contract. But don't take my word for it. Let's scroll down and see what these guys are saying. Now, they say no vulnerable withdrawals funds. I'm not so much interested in that. I want to show you a few things. One, it says the contract cannot be upgraded. Why? Because the owner has given up the right to the contract. They have renounced it and said, we have built a platform and we've now allowed it to operate on its own, applying the rules that are contained in this smart contract. What is the rule? If you put in money for 24 hours, it gives you 0.4%. The money comes to your wallet. There is no need to request for it. That is a rule. The rule says if you put in money for 28 days, it gives you 24%. You don't need to request for it. They don't need to pay it or switch it anywhere. They don't have the right to pause the contract and say, we are going for an upgrade, our system, we need to upgrade this, and people start getting heart attack. They don't have that feature. Now, let's go look at other very important, wallets cannot be blacklisted from specific contract functionality, which is another very key thing. There are some projects that you realize that everybody is earning money on it, right? But when it's your turn to receive, you realize they blacklist your wallet because you are perceived as a whale. Maybe people are playing or paying in with $100, $200, $300. You came and you put in $500,000, and they feel when you withdraw, it's going to cripple their program. Then they blacklist your wallet from withdrawing. We don't have such features here. And look at it. No functionality can be paused by the owner. This is not Jerry speaking. These are industry leading external audit firms who have no affiliation with Bitnest. You can do what I'm doing here to any other smart contract. It will always come out with its findings and all. And at the end of the day, let's look at the ratings they have given to this smart contract. Their DeFi score rating is what? 97% ratings. Look at the safety score. This is not my words. You say the safety score is 99/100. Now, let me read the footnote attached to it. Now, it says the score provides an indication of how safe the contract is based on our analysis. We take into account both the amount and the severity of detected issues. Now, please use after you do your due diligence and all. And they are saying when the smart contract is rated at 90 to 100%, it means that there is no risk detected. This is not Jerry speaking, right? And this is just one firm saying that. Maybe let's switch up to maybe Solidity Scan, because this smart contract was actually written in Solidity Pragma, the programming language used for this smart contract. So if there is any hidden code somewhere, they should be able to tell us. So let's run a quick scan. We are looking out for I already have the smart contract. We are going to block the type of blockchain they are using, which is the Binance chain. And then we select the mainnet because they are not using testnet. They are actually using the real thing. And I'm going to paste the wallet address here. If you are watching your screen, you realize that it's the same wallet address I copied. And then let's put it to a scan. Now let's see what they have to say. Let's see what they have to say. I will not dwell so much on this. I will point out a few things they have come up with. And look at their ratings as well. This is another site saying we are giving them what? 97/100. The previous site says we are giving them 97/100. And they went on and on and on and on to tell you things they have seen, right? The only issue they have here is that the Solidity Pragma version they use is an old one, and there's a new version after that. They couldn't update. Of course, I will have an issue if they could upgrade to the new version, which means that they could actually upgrade the smart contract. Ladies and gentlemen, why am I saying all this? I am saying this to tell you that the contract has been signed, sealed, and delivered. It has been programmed to run on its own without any interference from the admin. They don't have to pause and start telling us all those cock and bull stories about market condition. We want to upgrade this and we are pausing and all. So if two people are saying, look, it is 97 over 100, I am saying, these are all external, auditors. Now let's go to the king of all of them, which is CertiK. Now, if you're in this space and you don't know what CertiK is, let me tell you, this is the #1 security auditor, the largest blockchain security auditor you can come about. Now, maybe you really don't know what it means, but what it means is that your favorite Binance relies on their security analysis. OKS, the second largest crypto exchange in terms of volume in our side, relies on it. Maybe you are new, you don't know about crypto so much, but at least you know Samsung. Your Samsung relies on the security analysis of this. And maybe you really not that type. Maybe you should know at least something called an Apple. You should know Apple. You should know Ripple. You should know Pancake Swap, including Ton. All these guys rely on this. So if you claim you're a big boy in this space and this setting doesn't know about you, then I'm sorry, you're yet to start. So let's ask them first of all. Do you know a smart contract called Bitnest? So I'm going to look for Bitnest. Let's see what happens. And I hope you can see my screens as I go through. In case you cannot, I can always zoom in so we all see it loud and clear. Let me rather increase the font to make it easier for everybody to see even from afar. Now, according to CertiK, they are providing code security ratings of about 87.6, right? But my mission, my #1 mission here is to find out, have they ever audited the smart contract of Bitnest? That is where my finding will be based on. And according to them, yes, they once audited them. That was around 29th of June 2024. That was when they did one audit. Awesome. So now let's look at what they found and what they think about Bitnest. And I am basing my analysis entirely on what we call the centralization overview. For any project to crash online, normally admins will have to pause the project and say, hey, we want to do this, we want to add that, we want to do this. They have access to the liquidity pool. Everybody put in their money, they go behind the scene, they drain it and they go their way, right? And to be able to do this, it means that they have some form of centralized access to the smart contract. So based on what we have here, they say, looking at their centralization view, when it comes to distribution, they don't have any form of access. When it comes to upgrade, they cannot upgrade it. Now, listen, this is the third security house telling you that these guys cannot upgrade the smart contract. So what I say doesn't matter. What I think doesn't matter. My feelings, whatever I put in place doesn't matter. When all these guys are telling you that the owners don't have access to any privilege behind the scene to be able to do anything. Now, my other interest is, was it like this from the time when they brought it for the upgrade? Definitely no. So let's look at the details and let's see what are some of the things they found. So let me go back one more step and show you what exactly, how many issues came up when they put a smart contract to test. Now, before I go into the issue, know that the issue they state has been stated as resolved. But before they resolved it, they found this issue. Issue #1. There's a role. Admin had a certain role, the default admin role. And according to them, this role has authority over certain functionality. What it means is that irrespective of the code, the set of rules in the smart contract, if admin still maintain this role, it will have the possibility to override this rule in a smart contract. And that is where they can come in and pause the smart contract and do something. Secondly, they found another rule to which they call the operator rule. This rule also have this access over their loop and then can increase liquidity to create a false picture. At the end of the day, they advise them that, look, this issue, for your contract to be considered safe, we have 3 recommendations for you. Perhaps it could be that you are now building your smart contract and you don't want to give up the right. Then you have a temporary way of, or a short-term way of solving it. They suggested time lock and multi-sig, combination to mitigate by delaying any sensitive operation should they be hacked. Secondly, they also provided or recommended a long-term approach using time lock and DAO. This combination can also be applied to enhance transparency. And then they brought up the permanent approach. They say, look, when you renounce the ownership or removing that function can be considered as fully resolved, right? So the idea is, the suggestion is, or the instruction is, renounce the smart contract, renounce the ownership and never claim it back, or remove the risky feature. Alleviation simply means what the team decided to do. So they went by the permanent approach. They ignored the short-term approach, the long-term approach, and they went for the permanent approach by renouncing the ownership of their smart contract. Here, the admin role was resolved. And they didn't just say resolved, they provided you as with the blockchain proof that role was really done on the smart chain. So what I'm going to do is to take you to that role. This is a link. You can click it. All these things I'm doing, you can also go back there and do it and then understand what it means. Now, look at it. This is the core. The core says revoke role, right, by the creator of the contract on the smart contracts. So if you have been following this discussion carefully, you understand that this has been the smart contract I've been using all along to get us to where we are. All this goes a long way to tell you that, look, if they say Bitnest actually renounced the smart contracts, this transaction happened exactly 440 days ago, and that explains why the other side says the smart contract is about 1.5 years. Now, here is where I need you to pay attention most. Before getting to this point means that Bitnest has been in operation for some time. It got to this point where users were beginning to ask, when are you going to renounce the smart contract? If you are no more going to renounce, we are not willing to engage with you. And then they proceeded to do it. And so if after the renunciation gives birth to the new smart contract, which is about 1.5 years ago, then what about the pre-operations during that time? Well, that is why, to be able to identify the actual age of this smart contract, you go to their liquidity pool that they have been, or their safety basket pool that they have been using for their business. And then you can actually ascertain the actual figure that it is right there, right? So this is the platform you are being invited to, and this is what gives us the confidence. All these things I've said are not my opinions. My opinion, in fact, when it comes to blockchain, my opinion doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter at all. What matters is the proof on the blockchain. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are here for the first time, I know the next thing you're going to do is to jump on YouTube or some blogs and trying to find out a scam review. And you see a lot of people saying things that they cannot provide proof with. I didn't come here to read from my mind. I came to read from the blockchain to tell you that we are dealing with blockchain. It's an open book. So if somebody wants to make, criticism, then it should be based on the blockchain. The thing is there. Let's all go and see if it is not there. Don't sit somewhere and use your mind to play with people. You're going to list, a lot of people are going to come up with so many cock and bull stories trying to scare you. And behind the scene, most of them are even seriously, secretly involved. In fact, I watched somebody's video who said, so let me show you why Bitnest is a scam. So I put money in there. I say, you idiots. It's just like you telling me that thing is poison. Don't take it. When you take it, you die. And then while you are telling me, then you took one shot and said, you let me take one cap and show you. I'll show you that it's poison. Let me take it. Then he's holding it and telling you, it's a scam. Don't do it. Don't do it. And it's been growing from strength to strength, from strength to strength. And this is what gives us confidence. Now, prior to this, let me tell you something. Prior to this, standard, the new standard, this space has not been this friendly at all. And don't think Bitness is so smooth and so secure. Then you start believing any other thing online. Trust me, we've been burnt severally. We've been burnt before. We've paid the dues. We've paid school fees, fees upon fees several years. I have been in this space since 2011. That is why I'm so comfortable flipping pages and explaining whatever I want to explain. Now, one more thing I need to do before we go. Somebody asked me, and I think it's very important, so I put this thing up here. How does the flow of funds work? When you come into Bitness and you put in money, immediately you put in the money, it goes straight to the smart contract that we've just been analyzing. Look at it, it's right here. Then immediately the funds hit this wallet, it automatically pushes it to the liquidity pool, which is where the safety basket and where all of us is. Immediately it hits there, there's an instant transfer into their, let me minimize here so I don't block your view. Give me 1 minute. There's what we call a proxy contract that receives part of this money for distribution for incomes, structural income, referral commissions, and all. These commissions are paid in advance. And for that matter, that is why experts believe that before you even put in your loop, before you create a loop, your earnings, as well as, or your percentage being promised, as well as the structural income should be visible and available in the liquidity pool. Let me put that in another language that will make you understand better. What it simply means is that before you earn your 24%, the liquidity pool must guarantee that what you're about to earn exists. So what happens if it doesn't exist? The smart contract should it should reject your input. So immediately you put in, it distributes the referral commission. That is why when your downline or somebody you invite puts in, instantly the blockchain automates payments to you. And then at the end of the day, when your contract matures, it is now released from the liquidity pool and then back to you into your wallet. And I stress again, you don't need to request for it. It hits your account straight up. Your account here means your own centralized, decentralized wallet, Web3 wallet. If it is MetaMask you are using, that is your private account. You own it. So when any funds hit the wallet, it is found in your wallet. It is not found in Bitnest. Bitnest can only provide you access to interact through their website. And that also means that should the website go off after you have done your float or your looping, go to sleep. At the end of your period, the smart contract does not return your money to bitnest.me. It returns your money straight into your wallet for you to proceed to do whatever you do. It's so simple. You put the money into the smart contract, it brings it to the liquidity pool, it takes the share for the structural income to another smart contract. The remaining goes to work. At the end of the contract, it comes back, your initial capital plus the returns hit your wallet, and then you take it to the bank or do whatever you want to do with it. So this is the smart contract you are being invited to. And I'm glad you took your time to listen to me. At this point, in case you have any question, something you really did not catch, or something you really want me to throw more light on, okay, the legend himself, Bob. Bob is a legend in Bitness.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you are.
No, I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy, and I'm not a professional
You're a
marketer
great
at all.
you're a great celebrity in Bitnest. You've set a certain standard for those of us who are building a team to look up to and to try to achieve what you have achieved here.
Well, I just, I talk to a lot of people, and I don't get distracted. And
Awesome.
I mean, what you did said. By the way, did you record this today?
Yes, sir. It's recorded live on my YouTube.
Okay.
So after this
Are you
room,
gonna cut off the recording now that the questions are going?
yeah. So I will have to stop the
Recording.
stream. So